All right, everybody, welcome to I want to call it the Purgatory Anarchy podcast, or PAP, however you want to put it, or just the Anarchy podcast. But this is a podcast that's all about talking about things Splatoon related, or just in general in the gaming space, but mostly Splatoon. That's kind of where we keep it here. At least that's why I kind of have the working title of the Purgatory Anarchy podcast. But I've been told this multiple times that I should probably start doing a podcast, but I didn't know what to do it on because there are already so many out there. So for this first episode, we're just going to see how it goes, see where the interest kind of is, and I think Splatoon needs more exposure in terms of this kind of space, like talking about the competitive scene, talking about certain creators that have made interesting videos, talking about DLC that's coming out for the game, talking about future stuff that is coming to the game that you want to talk about, stuff like that. It's just, in general, we're talking about everything Splatoon and anything that has happened over the weekend or has happened this week. I don't know the consistency of this podcast. I still have that stuff to work out. I have this being made because I wanted to see where the interest is, if people are even interested. But yeah, my name is Purgatory. That's my alias online, and obviously that's the title's name. The podcast name is Purgatory's Anarchy Podcast, assuming that title works. But that's kind of where we're at right now. And again, we'll just see how this goes. But I got a list here. I made a list of stuff to talk about, and the first thing was talk about the podcast and the point to it. So there we go. I want to kind of bring more exposure to Splatoon, and especially since my background is an ex-Call of Duty player, ex-Halo player, even though I still play a lot of Halo, and I'll play some past CODs, but I won't play anything modern, so I still technically don't consider myself a COD player because I'm not playing the latest and greatest thing, even though it's not very great right now. Battlefield, play that a lot. Just a shooter background in general. Coming to Splatoon 3, I even played Fortnite. I've played almost everything at this point, and I'm just a huge fan of the first-person shooter genre. And it's crazy because Splatoon is a third-person shooter game, and I'm not too used to those. Like, Gears of War was where I started with third-person PvP games, I should say. But for the most part, most of my experience is usually on FPS games, so it's kind of daunting whenever you go in between. I guess you go from a first-person shooter, especially all the games that I play. Like, recently I just beat Dusk again. I played through Doom again. I'm playing through Doom Eternal right now on the Nintendo Switch for some reason. Just in general, the shooter genre, like Ready or Not, we've been on top of that too. CSGO, I've been playing that. Valorant, all these games that I've just been like kind of just going back and forth between. And then obviously I get on Splatoon and Splatoon 3. Sometimes I'll go back to Splatoon 2. Unfortunately, I can't really go back to Splatoon 1 anymore because of the whole security thing that they're talking about, and it's pretty indefinite at this point. They haven't really announced that the servers are back up, which is really unfortunate because I'm sure a lot of people want to go back to Splatoon 1 because not everything in Splatoon 1 is in Splatoon 3 right now, and it does seem like they're gonna bring all of Splatoon 1 into Splatoon 3. That's just what it feels like, and knowing that the developers are actually pretty big fans of the first game is pretty cool. So I hope to see that stuff, but we're kind of going off on a tangent. Again, like I said, we're talking about everything Splatoon here, but let's go ahead and get up to what happened in the past, and that is the Japanese tournament. It was kind of like an open regional thing that they did over in Nishinomiya, Japan. I might have butchered the hell out of that. I am so sorry. But it was just a friendly little regional thing that happened in Koshien Stadium, I believe. I don't know if Google's giving me all the answers. I looked up everything to make sure I was right. And but it's in Kanto. It's like Kanto something. I'm completely drawing a blank, but I remember the Kanto name, and people were like, Pokemon. I had a friend, because I was explaining to it, and he goes, Pokemon? I'm like, no, just, apparently it's a place in, I don't know all of Japan, I've never been there, and so I'm still doing my research, but that's pretty much what happened over the weekend. It was a really cool structure. They had 2 days. If you want to go watch the VODs, I'm pretty sure the Splatoon Japanese account on YouTube has all the VODs for that. It was like 8 different streams, and it was all of them were kids going up as teams, and not even just kids, but like the more adult, like teenager adult group kind of as well. They were going up as teams, and they were going up and just facing each other off in turf wars, like a 1 round off kind of thing. So it was very quick because there was a lot of teams there, and just over the span of a couple hours, I think it was like 4 hours in all the side ones, and then there was the main stage broadcast, which it's hard for me to read Japanese right now, but it's like a main stage broadcast that they did to where they have the whole setup. They got the people talking over, they got the audience going. It's really cool. And again, it was like one-offs, and if you won that turf war match, you pretty much won. There was no like different modes, but it was still entertaining to watch, because watching these little kids go up to the stage and then just absolutely pop off on the main stage and do just as well as you would say like a veteran pro would do is pretty cool. And it was a very entertaining watch on that perspective as well. And then seeing all the general, they called it like the general ones, like the general category, to where people, like, it's just people of all ages that aren't in the junior league, I guess, like that aren't under that age, are in the general part. And it was just really cool because they even had like the kids go up and say a few words. Obviously I didn't understand any of it, but it was still entertaining to watch. The announcers were like screaming at the top of their lungs. It was like, there was so much energy there, and the production was top notch. I was a huge fan of it through and through. I watched like every little stream that they had, because I always like to have live streams pulled up to the side, so that was a really fun watch. So I hope to see more events like that in the future, and I hope we even get to see one in America. I know America doesn't have as much of a big, I guess, interest in, how do you put it? They don't have as much of an interest as Japan does, because this game is huge in Japan. Like, it's a lot bigger than you think in Japan, and again, it's really cool. It's not huge in America, unfortunately, as much as I would love it to be, but I'm still glad they're bringing the games to America, and because there's obviously still just, in general, there's still interest for games from Nintendo, but Splatoon 3, it was very relevant for a while, especially when it won the multiplayer award. Again, going off on a tangent, but yeah. Which I guess we'll just move on from here, but I think that's all that really was in the... Actually, yeah, so another thing, a few things happened. The announcement of the Splatfest, we'll go over that in a bit, because that's actually in the future, technically. But we got some music live actions over on the Nintendo American, and I think it's in the UK as well. But we got the live actions of some more music. They've been doing this for a while, to where they put the music up, and they've been doing the live action parts of it over time. Like, they've just been uploading them over time. And this time they did a double one, to where they had the live in studio Wave Goodbye from the Squid Sisters. That's at least what it says in English. And then they also did W3, which is the band that does the Salmon Run music, the Splatoon band, I guess. I don't know if it's an actual band, but the Splatoon band that does all the Salmon Run music, they did, they did Bait and Quick, which was pretty much a Salmon Run themed version of Quickbait from the Seaside guys. And I can't remember the other two at the top of my head, but they performed 3 of those songs. And the next one was the Squid Sisters with Wave Goodbye, where, of course, it was the two women that sing for the Squid Sisters in the game. It shows their little live performance of that song, which was fantastic to watch. Both of those are really good watches. I highly recommend going to give those a watch, because to see the musical process behind the game is so cool, because you realize these guys love this game. Like, the Splatoon is such a special game where they have original music that can kind of correlate to the relevant music, I guess, in our time, and then also bringing in some like heavy metal and just in general like pop punk and like punk rock and all that stuff. It's such a cool little thing, and I'm really glad Nintendo has just been uploading these left and right constantly. It's one of my favorite things to watch, and I highly recommend you guys go and check it out, because Wave Goodbye, if you don't know, is in the credits of the campaign. I highly recommend that you play the campaign if you haven't already. It's weird if you haven't, to be honest. But yeah, that's pretty much the rest in the past. But last but not least, in the past, actually, we had the 3.1.1 patch. And let me go. The patch itself was very small. It wasn't anywhere near as big as you think. The whole patch was just to bring the data for the new Splatfest to come in, and that's pretty much where it stops. It just doesn't. It's not like huge. There's no balance changes. There's just a few bug fixes, and then adding the information for the Splatfest that's coming up this weekend. And I'll go ahead and read you this patch notes now. I'm trying to bring those up currently as I'm speaking. But let's see. So patch 3.1.1 released May 1st, released yesterday as of recording this. Data related to future Splatfest has been added, adjusted things like screen brightness and ink coloring on stages during Splatfest. In addition to adding data related to adjust how stages look during Splatfest, please note that we plan on making further changes to ink coloring when using color lock in the next update. The next update is scheduled to be released at the end of the current season. It will focus primarily on balance adjustments and adding features for the new season starting in June. So this could mean map changes, weapon changes, additional weapons in the game, such as, we get a new season every so often, and we will talk about predictions and what I kind of expect in the future. But again, they had fixes to multiplayer. They had one fix. They had one fix for Salmon Run, one fix for Splatfest, and then they had other fixes. But for multiplayer, fix an issue where players who super jumped to a player who was using a zipcaster would sometimes land in an unintended location. Sorry to the guys that try to get out of the map. They kind of made it a little bit harder. Fixes the Salmon Run, fix an issue that sometimes caused the game to crash at the start of a special wave in rare cases. Never ran into this. I didn't even know it was an issue, but I'm glad they're able to address it. Fixes to Splatfest. Fixed an issue where the music and performances in Splatsville and Inkopolis during a Splatfest would become out of sync if the main menu was open for a long time. Okay. I might have ran into that bug last time, because sometimes I'll have it to where I sit there in the main menu, like when I be right back, kind of go downstairs to eat something or just kind of like take a break from the game, I leave the main menu on. And that must have happened to me. I think I remember running into that. It just didn't seem right. And another fix is fixed an issue where edits to a player's locker would be canceled if the player was editing during a scheduled transition. That sucks. Good thing they patched that. But it says note compatible with version 3.1.0. Battle replay is not compatible with version 3. Okay, so you won't lose your replays, thankfully, at least after 3.1.0. But yeah, that's the patch. Wasn't much, but the fact that they added Splatfest data is cool. The Splatfest, which we'll be transitioning into now. The Splatfest, it's Zelda themed, because Zelda Tears of the Kingdom comes out on May 12th. Unfortunately, I won't be able to play it a lot on release day, especially the day after. My friend is graduating. Obviously, prioritize your friends over video games. You wouldn't be very much of a good friend, to be honest, if you're prioritizing a video game over a friend. So, bit of a word of advice to anybody who's young watching this: prioritize your friends and your family first. All right? Video games are cool and they're great entertainment, but sometimes there are certain opportunities in life that only happen once or twice, and that is in this case where my friend is graduating college. So, it's very excusable. And again, to anybody who's younger, make sure you have your priorities straight, okay? That's a bit of a life lesson if you wanted that. I don't really think you needed that, but yeah, so that's the patch. It's really cool. And the Splatfest is again Zelda themed. It's There's 3 teams: Power, Wisdom, Courage. And so Power, I think, is for Ganon because they did reveal that Ganondorf was returning. His design and everything is really cool. I was hoping to be surprised on his reveal, but it was a trailer that I couldn't really avoid. It just kind of happened, and it was all over social media, so it's something Nintendo wanted everybody to know, which is cool. But I was like, damn it, I wish I could have avoided it, but, you know, half of my time is living on social media, so yeah. I chose Team Wisdom. I don't know what anybody else chose, but I highly recommend you go ahead and choose now because team choosing is currently available. You just go inside, whether you're in Inkopolis or Splatsville, you just find that monitor. Usually you spawn pretty close to it, but it will be a big monitor that pops up and it shows you all the teams they need to be on, and the game will even tell you about it if you haven't logged on to do that stuff yet. But I chose Team Wisdom. I think that's for Zelda. Courage is for Link, and then Power again for Ganon. So I chose Wisdom because a lot of my friends that I have on Switch and in the Twitch community, in the Splatoon community, have chose Wisdom. I did see a lot of Courage. I'm surprised that we didn't see a lot of Power, at least in terms of my friends list. But I think Power or Wisdom might win. That's kind of my prediction. Didn't seem like much people were interested in Courage. Well, actually, I don't know, it's a bit iffy. I know a lot of people are Team Wisdom, but in between Power and Courage, in terms of my friends list, a lot of people chose Courage, and nobody chose Power. So, but for some reason, I feel like Power is going to win because of Ganon. So, who knows? And it's also a Shiver thing. I think it's also because they don't want to give Shiver another win. Either way, all I know is I'm on Team Fry, and I'm excited for it because this is the only Splatfest so far where we actually get a unique map. Given, to be fair, the map doesn't seem like it was very hard to make. They just took assets from Scorch Gorge and just made it into a Triforce map. It's a really cool looking layout, and I'm really excited to play on it. I will be live streaming all of that on the Twitch channel. Twitch and Kick. Link to those are in the description of the podcast episode or whatever. But yeah, I'm excited for it. I'm really excited to see finally an original map instead of just a reworked version of an existing map. That was day one. One of my biggest complaints about Splatfest was playing just an overhauled version of a Splatoon 3 map, and so it was really cool to see that we're actually getting an original tricolor map. It's only for tricolor, I think, so we'll only see that map in the second half of the Splatfest, which is fine. And I won't be doing any weird challenges. We're just going to be playing, having some fun. And so if you're Team Wisdom, I'll probably be doing open lobbies most likely. So anybody on Team Wisdom wants to join me and play, you can if you want. But yeah, I'm excited for the Splatfest again. But yeah. So that's pretty much all the stuff we had to talk about today. But obviously, so we're going to end it off with more into the future. And that is predicting the next season, kind of talking about the next season. And then over time, next episode, we'll kind of, if they reveal any information or I have any more thoughts, I'll share those. But right now, I have a big prediction for this next season. I don't know what's going to be called. Last season was called Fresh Season, and the season before that was Chill Season. So I wonder if it's going to be like Summer Season, something like that. It's going to be like it's going to be a heat related thing. Like it's going to be like a summer. I feel like they're just going to call it like Heat Season. This kind of sounds like like Fire Season. Kind of sounds like something they would put because Splatoon in Japan, like this version, like this game kind of capitalizes on lingo. So I feel like it's gonna be like, this is a fire season, dude, or like the heat season, or they could just go to a very normal title and just do summer season, which is completely okay. But what I think is going to happen, and this is kind of in terms of the patterns that we've seen in the past, and some comments that I've actually on my videos that kind of brought the thought to me. I was going to make a video about this like a month or two ago, but I feel like we were too early into the season, and I feel like we're at a very good time to talk about this. But somebody in the comment section of one of my videos, I can't remember what it is at the top of my head, but he or they said it doesn't seem like that they're going to bring any maps that were in Splatoon 2, like remakes that were in Splatoon 2, into Splatoon 3, if that makes any sense. So far, we've only seen maps from Splatoon 1 that weren't remade in the Splatoon 2. And that makes complete sense. And there's a pattern that's been going on. So Splatoon 1 was, we got Flounder Heights in the first season, in Chill Season, along with an original map, which was something Springs. I can't remember right now. I can't remember the name right now. But that map, what people call a very nerfed version of Moray Towers, and I kind of get that, but I feel like this map is so much better than Moray Towers, to be honest. But anyways, we had Flounder Heights, and then in terms of weapons, we didn't really get anything that kind of referenced past games. It was like all mostly unique weapon kits. I'm not entirely sure if any of them reference Splatoon 2, but we also got a new, let's see, we got a new Salmon Run map. Technically, it was a remake of the Splatoon 2 Marooner's Bay, and that was pretty much it that we had there. We got some really cool clothes, and yeah, so fast forward, we go to Fresh Season. Fresh Season, we get Ami Ruins. We also got a remake of the Splatoon 2 map, Manta Maria. So Manta Maria, which is a good map. I actually really like that map in Splatoon 2, and I think it's actually a lot better in this game, to be honest. And so again, I'm trying to like backtrack to my point. So we've had a Splatoon 1 map in the first season, and then we had a Splatoon 2 map in Fresh Season, and Flounder Heights wasn't a map in Splatoon 2. Manta Maria obviously was in Splatoon 2. That, like, I feel like we're gonna get a lot of Splatoon 2 remakes after we get some Splatoon 1 remakes, but we had 1, then we had 2. What I think is gonna personally happen is we're not gonna get a remake next season. We're gonna get 2 original maps, because technically it's like the third major update for the game, and everything is going to be 3 related, so it's all new. That is the likeliest I think could happen. But also, going back, like, and backing myself up a little bit, I think the other way they go is it's like a pattern. So we get a Splatoon 1 map, then we get a Splatoon 2 map, and then we go back and then we get a Splatoon 1 map. So what I'm thinking we're gonna get is, we don't have many options for Splatoon 1 maps that weren't in Splatoon 2. But the only optional, like, logical one I can think of would be to put Urchin Underpass into the game. Somehow open it up, help the mobility of the game, you know, the fact that you can move so much faster in this game. The specials are pretty aggressive. Stuff like that. I think Urchin Underpass is going to be the next map to get the remake treatment into this game, and honestly I'm for it, because I miss Urchin Underpass and I loved it in Splatoon 1. Obviously they might ruin it in Splatoon 3 because some of the remakes have been kind of like meh, but to be honest, I think Flounder Heights is perfectly fine. They did get rid of like a route, but I honestly think it was probably the most pointless route on the map, so there's a reason why they took it off. But Flounder Heights I think works really well. Manta Maria, I love that map, and Umami Ruins, like the newer maps, are great too. I think I'd take Umami over the Springs map, but either way, I think we're going to get another Splatoon 1 map. I think it's going to be Urchin Underpass, and then we're obviously going to get a brand new map as well. And with some returning kits, I think with the kits, we're going to get some more original ones that are like original Splatoon 3, that have the Splatoon 3 specials. And What I also think we're gonna get though is Splatoon 2 kits this time. Like say Ballpoint. I forget what that kit's called, but say like Ballpoint gets a new kit because that doesn't have a new kit yet. Nautilus doesn't have a new kit yet. I'm trying to remember some of the weapons off the top of my head. I know NZAP got one last season. And I don't know. The ones I think of right at the top of my head is Ballpoint and Nautilus, because those are two weapons, yes, same category, but they've been getting so little love because their kits are okay. I do think Ballpoint got a lot better because they buffed the special that it has. I think it's Inkjet. That special is so much better now, along with Ultra Stamp, and I think for the most part we're gonna get kind of similar to how last season one was, because we got 2 Splatoon 1 kits. This time I think we're going to get 2 Splatoon 2 kits, and the rest of them are just going to be original. And obviously some clothing options. And I think the clothing that we might get will be a mix of Splatoon 1 and Splatoon 2. But I wouldn't be surprised if all the clothing that they put in this season is completely original. And that's honestly what I prefer. Original clothing types I always welcome, because seeing different clothing on your character in this game will make the game feel fresh and new, because sometimes you won't play the Splatoon 3 maps, sometimes you'll play the Splatoon 2 and Splatoon 1 maps, and you're just like, am I even playing Splatoon 3? Because some of the outfits in the game aren't even original to the game. So that's another one of my biggest issues. The perks and everything is cool, but in terms of the look, it all just feels like you're playing the same game just with a higher resolution. That's just kind of how it feels. Same thing with Salmon Run, even though Salmon Run feels drastically different than multiplayer does. But I will say, or the Splatoon 2's version does. But I will say, I think since we didn't get a brand new map for Salmon Run last season, we got announcements of new modes and we got a new boss, which is cool. What I think we're gonna get this time, this season, is a brand new Salmon Run map. I'm not talking remake or stuff. I'm not talking remake of maps. I'm talking brand new. Something we haven't seen before yet. But if they do a remake, I'm gonna be a little upset. But I think Arc Polaris would work perfectly in this game, especially with the egg toss. Along with that fortress map, I forget what it's called, but it has the walls, and I've made a few videos on it already this year. But I think the egg throw mechanic and the squid surge would benefit that map greatly too. So, honestly, I hope we get more than one. I think that's a big ask apparent for some reason, but I feel like I personally would want 2 new maps. But for the most part, I think Salmon Run should get optimization, because the performance on some of the maps in this game is atrocious, to be honest. So my biggest prediction with that is we're going to get an original new map. If we get a remake, I'll be upset, to be honest. But if it's like a remake and then there's an original one, then I guess I'll be fine. I feel like they need to go do like a mid-season thing for Salmon Run. They're like, oh, new map for Salmon Run is like as like a mid-season update when they do like stuff like that. I think Splatoon 3 definitely does need mid-season updates though. Especially since I think it has what, a year and a half, not even a year and a half at this point. I think it's we're 9 months in. So it would be, I think we're 9 months in, right? Because it released October. It's now May. So October, November, December, January, February, March, April. No, it's not. It has not been 9 months. It's been 7 months. Yeah. January, February, March, April, May, June, July, October. June, July, October, September. Dude, why are my those 2 months mixed up for me right now? Hold on, I need to wait. Hold on, It's not gonna be hard to correct myself here. Let's see, calendar. June, July, August, September, October. No, yeah, so I was right. It's about 7 months at this point. But at the time when the new season releases, I feel like I think it's going to be 8 months. The new season comes out in June. They said it comes out in June. I'm assuming it's going to be early June because I think that's when Fresh Season came out. It was like super early in that month that it released that I don't remember at the time right now. But yeah, so very cluttered, but prediction is Urchin Underpass as a remake. Of course, brand new map. Splatoon 2 or 3 Splatoon 2 weapon kits. An original map in Salmon Run, and a mix of returning and original clothing in the new season as well. I don't know what kind of kits we would get. I think another kit I would like to see, and I know it got one last season, but I think I would like to see the NZAP get another kit, and one that's a bit more aggressive, and a special that can actually kill something. Like, I'll take an NZAP that uses the Trizuka. I think that would work. That or the, like, I would love to see an NZAP with a triple ink strike, man. That would be one of my favorite things to see. So, yeah, I think, yeah, and so, yeah, there's and nothing else to talk about. But at this point, I want to do something called shoutouts. Obviously, whenever you have something like this, you need to have a bit of viewer interaction. So, in the future, I'm going to start doing shoutouts to anybody that wants to be shouted out. Obviously, I have some rules. You can either sub on Twitch or anywhere that you can do like a sub or something to. I would sub on Twitch, or okay, yeah, the barrier for entry on that, I'm still kind of doing some stuff with that, but I feel like the biggest rule for me is you need to be at least like a decent member of the channel. No toxicity. I only shout out people that will make either Splatoon content or just in general something else. The rules, I still need to kind of go over them a little bit with myself, but I do want to do shoutouts in the future. So if you want to shout out, go down in the comment section below. If you're a Splatoon creator, that's a plus. If you're subscribed to the Twitch channel or in any way able to send money, I don't really have any subscription service stuff. I could try to launch a Patreon. I'll give you shout outs there. Obviously, if I opened a Patreon, I'd shout out everybody in the Patreon, especially the top tier guys. But again, we'll evaluate all that later. We'll see how this first episode goes. But I think that is a wrap on the episode. I did a lot of said a lot of like this, like that, did a lot of that. It's the beauty of a podcast, though. That's just kind of what you hear half the time. And yeah, so next time we will talk about the Splatfest, how it went, what team won, the more season stuff. If we get any news on that, we usually get some news a couple, maybe like two weeks in advance from the next season, so we'll see. But yeah, I think that's it for the first episode. Again, let me know what you guys think. Give me some feedback. I don't really do podcasts. I like to talk, though. I can talk about games for days. So if you guys, again, if you're very interested, let me know. Leave a like on this. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. And again, down in the comment section, let me know what you think about this, and would you listen to more? Should I put it on Spotify? All that kind of stuff. Okay. Anyways, thank you guys again so much for coming out. And thanks for taking some of your time to listen to me. Hopefully I can find a way to do an audio version. But for now, we're gonna just do this video format over on YouTube. So again, thank you guys so much. Video out. There was a video out yesterday of me resetting my rank. There's a whole explanation I explained in that video, so go check that out. And yeah, so thank you guys again. I love you all. Hopefully I didn't take too much time. I love you all. Have an absolutely fantastic day, I love you all. Yeah, I'm